I'm going to record this class. Okay. All right. And I am going to be sending out the recording of this to everybody who's here. So if you have to like hop off, or if you missed something and you want to hear it again, you'll get the recording. And for those of you who are watching the recording, welcome to this class. I call this class the Introduction to Essential Oils, because we're just going to talk about some really basic things about essential oils and about doTERRA, and I'm going to give you guys some resources to join me in further learning. I have used essential oils for about 14 years. I kind of started with them in around 2005, whenever I was when my oldest son, we're having the birthday party for tomorrow, he's just turned 14, whenever he was first born. And I kind of at first thought of essential oils as sort of like a glorified air freshener. That's just how I viewed them. I didn't know that they had medicinal properties or anything like that. I just thought they smell good. So I view them like that, and I didn't really use them very much because I didn't realize that they could be healing. Then in 2007, I got really sick. I had 2 boys, and my youngest son was about 5 months old, and I started having some real serious issues with my urinary tract. And it led to one thing after another. I was having basically a whole lot of issues, and honestly, they were kind of embarrassing in nature. I was dealing with a lot of infections and constantly having to go to the doctor, constantly getting prescription after prescription, which led me into having to have a biopsy on my bladder and all of these very, very invasive procedures. And towards the end of that period, it went on for over a year, and it turned out to be a hormonal reaction to an IUD is what actually triggered all of this. But it went on causing a lot of really severe issues kind of as a side effect of using this IUD. And so after, once the side effects were in enrolling, there were all these other issues, very extensive infections, problems in the urinary tract. And I was so tired of being sick. And at the very end of that, I went into the doctor, and basically I was still having an infection, and they had put me on 3 straight months of antibiotics. As soon as the antibiotics were over, and of course 3 months of antibiotics will wreak havoc on your gut health, which can bring about depression, which can bring about all these other issues. And at the end of that, I went in, and they gave me another round of antibiotics for 6 months this time. And I literally crumpled it up. I had it, and I crumpled it up and threw it out in the trash can before I walked out of the doctor's office. And I was like, that's it. There's gotta be a better way. I can't do this anymore. And so I went out, I called my mother-in-law, and I was like, I don't know what to do, but something's got to be better than this. And she's like, well, hey, what about all those essential oils I gave you? So I'm like, okay. So I go in and just start researching, and I began to treat myself with essential oils. And within 6 months, with diet, with making sure I was staying very hydrated, taking care of my body and my overall health, and using essential oils, I was completely off antibiotics. I did not have infections, and my body was. And so it was an incredible testimony for me to say, wow, these things really, really work, and I'm going to take this seriously. Now, 13 years after that, it is such a normal part of our life. All of my kids know how to use oils. It's something that, it's literally as normal to us as taking a Tylenol. Taking a Tylenol is more unusual in our household than getting essential oils. Everybody has their own oils. They're all over my house, and it's just become a way of life for us. So it's really weird for me whenever I meet people and they're like, oh, you're into essential oils? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, does that really work? Like, that is such a weird question to me. Like, how you can things can become so normalized that you forget that they're not normal to other people. That is exactly how essential oils have been in my life. And so I like to teach this class because I like to talk to people about the fact that essential oils really do work, and why they work and how we best use them. First, I'll tell you a little bit about doTERRA, because in the 15 years of using essential oils, I've used just about every brand that there is. I started with Young Living. I used Young Living for a long time, and I liked their oils, but I never really got behind selling Young Living because there were some factors in the business practice that I was never fully comfortable with, and I really I take it very seriously what I put my seal of approval on. And so I never really got into selling them, but I've done all kinds of different brands that are available through like aromatherapy sites, Amazon, what you buy at Whole Foods. I mean, from the cheapest of the cheap to really expensive oils, I've used all different kinds. Last year, Shay Elliott from the Elliott Homestead, who is a person that I looked up to a lot, she approached me and offered me this business opportunity and said, hey, I think that you would do great at this, and it goes right in line with what you believe in, which is plants. Will you think about it? So I prayed about it for a couple weeks. I initially told her no, and then I prayed about it for a couple weeks, and I just couldn't shake the feeling that there was something to this. Came back around, and I decided, you know what? I did all the digging and all the research, and I was like, I'm going to discredit this company so I can tell this woman no and carry on with my life. And so after doing extensive research about doTERRA, all I found was really good things, and I decided I'm going to go with this. And the thing that really sold me on doTERRA was the quality is fantastic. Every liter of oil is extensively tested. There's a code on the bottom of every bottle. You probably can't see it, this little white writing here. And there's actually a website where you can go and enter the code on your bottle and see all of the scientific testings that prove that this is completely pure, unadulterated oil. These plants were harvested at their peak time to bring about the most chemical constituents to make this the strongest medicine possible. And you can go read all that. Every liter is tested of every different oil, which I thought was really cool. But the big selling factor for me, the quality is great. I need to know that. But aside from that, doTERRA has what we call the co-impact sourcing pledge. And what that means is that this company works with farmers who grow these crops in their indigenous growing regions, and they make sure that they're receiving a fair wage. They get half the pay for all of their crops up front. So even if that crop fails, they're still getting half the pay for that. doTERRA works so closely hands-on that they come out and they do extensive testing to make sure that these things are being harvested at the exact right time to bring about the best result in these oils. And that to me was very, very important. It is very, very important to me that people are treated well and that no one is having to suffer for me to be able to consume something. And unfortunately, whenever the essential oils business really boomed and they got super popular 10 years ago, all of these side brands, there was not any accountability in the sourcing of these things. And so what was happening is these people who are in these countries where they had no one to stand for them, they were ultimately, these farmers were being taken advantage of. And the middleman was coming in and they were forcing them to harvest at the wrong time, so you weren't getting the best product. Because we all know, I mean, this is how it goes in the garden. You want to harvest something at the exact right time when it's ripe and ready to be harvested, because that's when you're going to get the best flavor in your food. And when it comes to plant medicine, that's when you're going to get the best medicine out of a plant, is when you harvest it at the right time. So that was a huge thing for me, knowing that these things are ethically farmed and also that they're sustainably farmed for the purpose of growing the best oils. That was massive. And I feel like that has been very, very, very reflected through doTERRA's practices. So that was kind of my deciding factor on why I went with doTERRA. But I want to tell you a little bit about like how oils work, because this is something that not a lot of people understand. A lot of people think of that there's medicine and then there's plant medicine, as if it's a different thing or maybe even a lesser thing. So in case you're not aware of this, the man-made medicines that we have are almost entirely synthetics of plant-based chemicals. Like when you take aspirin, or when you take, or you're taking the headache medicines, you're taking painkillers, you're taking all of these things, those were developed as synthetic, and a lot of times they've been made to be like super concentrated materials or chemicals from those naturally occurring chemicals. And plant medicine is completely legitimate. All different plants have all different properties that have healing effects on our body, that have calming effects on our body. They can affect our mood. They can help us on a cellular level. And basically with essential oils, what we're doing, I'm going to use tea tree as an example. So tea tree is Melaleuca, is grown indigenously in Australia in kind of swampy areas, like real humid areas of Australia, very hot and very humid, swampy areas, which if you have been in very, very humid areas, or, you know, if you've ever had, let's say you've got a basement in the summertime, what happens in that basement in the summertime if it's closed up and there's not a lot of airflow and it's humid, it's moist, and it's hot? What happens? Mold grows, mildew grows, bacteria grows. And so in Australia, where these things are native, where tea tree is native, these plants have had to develop an immune system against those conditions. And so when we use tea tree oil, what's happened is they've taken the parts of this plant, they've steam distilled it, and they've extracted this essential oil, which is an incredibly potent volatile compound. That they send it here to us. We're in the US and we get to take this oil, and what we get to do, because we're carbon based, just like that tea tree is carbon based, and we actually get to benefit from the immune system that the Melaleuca tree produced in itself to withstand the conditions of Australia. And so when I have my kitchen here on my farm in Arkansas, and I make a cleaner with tea tree in it, and I'm scrubbing it down on the counter, it's killing all of those germs that are there. It's able to do that. I'm able to put that in a cleanser and wash my face. And if I deal with acne, or if I deal with any sort of bacteria living in my skin, and I put that tea tree oil in a cleanser and I wash my face with it, that can then have the effect of killing all of that bacteria in my skin. And since we're carbon based and that tree is carbon based, that immune system transfers. And so it's just a really, really neat thing. Now, there are some things that you need to understand about using plant medicine. And I think this is where a lot of people run into issues, and they believe, oh, well, that didn't work for me. Because if you're used to treating symptoms, and you're used to saying, oh, this part of me is feeling really bad, and I want to take something for 3 days that's going to immediately eliminate that thing. If you've got a pain in your body, that's your body's alarm system saying, hey, something's not right here. There's infection here. Something's off. There's inflammation. There's something going off here. If you've got a fever, that's your body's immune system that's saying, hey, I'm going to attack these wrong cells in here. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to raise the temperature. It's like an alarm system, and your body's going to work, and it's letting you know that something's wrong. And so when you have a toothache, you want the pain to stop, but ultimately you want the tooth to get healthy. That's what we're looking at. And so with essential oils, we have to shift the mindset from essential oils and any and all plant medicine. Okay, we have to shift the mindset from eliminating symptoms to overall health and supporting systems. And so essential oils, in order to be genuinely and truly the most effective, they really need to be a lifestyle. This needs to be something that you integrate into your daily life, that you make a habit to use, and you partner it with other good choices like fueling your body well, making sure that you're staying very hydrated, sleeping as regularly as possible. And these things, they start working together. Like whenever you're drinking lots of water and you're using essential oils like cilantro, which are very, very detoxing, what you're doing is you're detoxing these things from your body, and you're drinking the water to flush it out. And then when you don't have that heavy toxin load, then you're able to get some other things on track. So if you're laying in bed at night and you're not sleeping well, you're dealing with insomnia and tossing and turning, I can tell you, well, cedarwood and lavender are really great choices to calm the nervous system and help you with sleep. And that might help you some. They will. These things can help you definitely. However, if you're well hydrated and you're detoxed, that cedarwood and lavender are going to have an even more exaggerated response. Your body's going to respond better to them. So I'm going to talk to you about these different ways to use these, but I really want you to think of this as, okay, this needs to be a lifestyle change. And in that, and I always have to encourage people in this, because when we're talking about doing something really big and different, it can be really overwhelming, and we can say, well, I can't change everything. Like, you can look at the doTERRA catalog and say, well, there's no way that I can afford to buy all the oils I would need to change my entire lifestyle. But what you can do is you can take a step in the right direction. You can begin to learn, and you can begin to apply changes one step at a time. That's how you're going to have success with this, is one step at a time. And so I want to encourage you not to feel overwhelmed. Like, as we talk about this, don't feel overwhelmed. Like, it's okay. But health doesn't just happen to you. Health is a result of daily choices over a long-term course. And as anybody knows with anything, habits are formed over the course of time, and there's no condemnation in not having it all done all at once. So there are some different buying options with doTERRA, and we have what's called like kits, where you sign up for a wholesale account and you get a kit of oils. And I'm going to talk about some of the like popular oils that are in that kit, but I'm also going to talk about a couple of the other ones that might not be in that kit. So there are just a couple of like the basic, this is like the oils that you are going to go through a lot of, and one of those is peppermint oil. Peppermint oil is so versatile. It's so funny. I was discussing this with some people recently, and they were throwing out all of these uses that I was like, wow, like someone mentioned you can put peppermint oil on cotton balls and place them around your pantry and in your kitchen, and they deter mice. And she was like, I've done this for a really long time. She's like, I live in an old farmhouse and we get mice really bad in the house, and I used to have them in the pantry, and I started putting the cotton balls with peppermint oil all around the edge of the pantry. And she was like, and I haven't had mice in my pantry since I started doing that. And I was like, wow, who would have thought that? I always wonder how, like, who's coming up with these things? Who's figuring out uses like that? But I'm glad that they do. I'm glad to know that this can be a deterrent to mice. The thing that we use peppermint oil for most is peppermint oil may be used to help with indigestion and tummy upset. It's one that if we have upset tummies in the house, we'll dilute this with a little bit of carrier oil and rub it on the tummy, and it can really help with that, with reflux and that sort of thing. With any sort of muscle tension, this is a really great one because it helps. Peppermint has been shown to help with inflammation in a really big way. So if you've got tight muscles, if you've got like a catch in your neck or in your back, if you're dealing with stuff like that, this is a really great aid to inflammation. And so with all of these, you're buying oils that come in these really small bottles and you think that's not a lot. This is so intensely potent. We dilute all of this stuff. Literally what I usually do on these is just a few drops of this in a roller bottle that is 10 milliliters, and maybe put about 5 drops of this in the 10 milliliter roller bottle, and that it works. And if you feel like you need to bump it up a little bit, but this is another thing with plant medicine. Since we're not looking to wipe out those symptoms in one fell swoop, we're looking to support the system. Plant medicine doesn't work by extra strength dosage. It's not like pharmaceuticals where we're looking for the maximum dose that we can give to somebody without killing them. Plant medicine it works more over continued use over time. And like with these, when we're talking about applying them to our skin, it's better, instead of putting one single drop on your skin and rubbing it, it's better to go ahead and put 1 drop within 10 drops of carrier oil and rub it over a larger area of your skin. Because even though you're putting a more diluted substance over the larger area of your skin, it's like, oh, well, is that helpful to use it more diluted? Yes, because you're allowing more of your skin to come in contact with the chemical constituents of this oil, and therefore more of it is actually able to be absorbed by your body and into your bloodstream, which is really fascinating. Actually, it's best, you can use oils neat. There are oils that they're fine. There are some things, I'm going a little bit squirrely here, and I'm really sorry, but I want to make sure that I cover this and I don't forget to while we're talking about dilution. There are oils that you have to dilute because they're really hot. There's a lot of concern that comes up when it comes to using essential oils. People are like, you got to use them safely, and that's true. But I want you to understand that really this is not a scary thing. It's not something that you can't do. There is some common sense that's required. Peppermint oil is minty. Have you ever used a shampoo that has peppermint fragrance in it and got it in your eye? It hurts. It's a hot oil. So you definitely don't want to get this anywhere near your eyes. And with any oil, if you put it on and it's hot, just dilute it a little more. Put a little oil on it and rub it over there. That dilutes it and it's okay. But with these, whenever you bring about the proper dilution, it actually makes them not only way more affordable, it can make them more effective in diluting these and rubbing them over a larger amount of your skin. And you don't have to use as much. I think a lot of people have thought that they can't afford to use essential oils because they were using way too much of them and they weren't feeling like they were getting their money's worth. But if you stretch them out, you'll have a much better experience with them. Does anybody have, we're going to have like a Q&A at the end, but does anybody have any questions about that specific topic? Okay.
Jess, this is Melissa. I'm curious to find out what kind of resources or books are reliable that are out there that we could use to get some of this information.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. I actually have this book right here, and this is a doTERRA specific book that is created, and it has got very good information in it. I feel really comfortable in using this. This has every blend that we have and every oil that we have. And trying to find you guys. There you are. It's got every oil we have. And for instance, let's look at peppermint. And this is what I suggest people get when they first get started, because this is going to take the guesswork out of the concerns that people have. Because here we've got peppermint, and right here it says safety, and there's a little exclamation point, and it says, because of the stimulating properties, avoid use at bedtime. Dilution is recommended and possible skin sensitivity. And so it gives you the warnings in here, but it also gives you the different uses that can be helped. Like peppermint is really good for suppressing cravings if you're having a lot of cravings. It's really good for nausea if you're dealing with nausea. Now you do want to be cautious using peppermint if you're in the early stages of pregnancy. And if you are pregnant or nursing an infant and you are looking for oil use, get with me personally, like send me a message and I'll talk to you or I can get you hooked up with my midwife friend who's on my team, because we have some additional information for the safety of that. I'm not going to go into it in this class because that's such a niche thing, but I do want to make sure I tell you guys that there are some different rules with that. So it talks about using this for hot flashes, for if you're trying to decrease milk supply, like if you're trying to dry up a milk supply, for headaches and migraines, for bad breath, asthma, and for emotional balance. So this is just for allergies and hives. This is just a lot of different uses, and it tells you how to use them. And so the thing is with like teaching a class like this is I really want to encourage you of the vast array of uses and tell you that this really does work. It would be really difficult to go into each very, very individual uses that we may have, but I just want to give you some examples to encourage you to step in to this overall. One thing that is really true with oils is that it's a lifestyle change. Like I said, it's an overall approach. But what I have seen whenever people have stepped into changing that and saying, okay, I want to reduce the toxic load in my house, and so I'm going to choose a handful of ways that I'm going to address first and foremost. And some of the ones that I suggest is getting those handful of really basic oils that have a lot of uses. And what I like to do is just, whenever I first talk with people, is let's write a note card, like for instance with peppermint oil. So the next time that somebody in your house has a tummy ache, let's use let's use something like this. We have another blend called DigestZen, which is our favorite in our house for tummy aches. And I actually buy our touch bottles, which are already pre-diluted. I buy these so that I've got them on hand where my kids can find them and use them without having to ask me for help. And I've taught them, okay, this is the one you use when your tummy hurts, and they can put it on there. And, you know, like sometimes they'll just play too hard outside and their tummy hurts for a second, and they just come and get that, and it helps their stomach calm down. But it's anise, peppermint, ginger, caraway, coriander, tarragon, and fennel. So these are all things, and if you have any experience with plant medicine, if you've ever bought a tummy tamer tea at the grocery store, those are some of the common ingredients that are in things like that. And so you're just seeing kind of this echo of plant medicine here. If you're familiar with teas or anything like that, it's the same stuff. These plants have the same medicinal properties here as they do in teas or whenever you use them in herbalism. But the thing with essential oils is it kind of takes it kind of demystifies it, I think. I think it makes it a little more accessible for the average person to put this in their life, instead of having a pantry full of mason jars of all different kinds of herbs and having to come up with tinctures and teas and having very repeated applications. This is something that you can put in your bag and you know, have a little shelf of oils. It's just a little more accessible. My friend Lauren, who is the midwife, she's also an herbalist, and she talks about how essential oils are the gateway to plant medicine. And for me, essential oils were the gateway to natural living. Essential oils were what taught me how to address the issues that I was having with the toxicity in my home. And it was so overwhelming to me, I didn't know what to do. So this was the first step. So about the books, this book is probably like the #1 resource that I suggest. And I also use doTERRA's website extensively. There is a tab called the Discover tab that goes into great detail that you can look at and find out all different ways. I'm trying to show you guys this here. Let me screen share this. Okay, you guys should be able to see that. So here we've got this Discover Solutions, and this is one of the places where I go to learn all about using oils. There are all different resources here where you can go to each individual oil and you can find out where these things are grown. You can find out the way that you can use them. You can find out the warnings on these. You can find out the fun facts, like here with cinnamon bark, 371 published studies about the benefits of cinnamon. And that's according to PubMed. And so that to me is very encouraging, to be able to go on and find out the not only how to use them, but kind of the why behind it, and the science behind it, showing me that these are really legitimate things. Now, for you guys and getting started and saying, okay, I'm really wanting to apply these in my life, but I have no idea where to start. I do suggest starting with a kit of oils. I suggest a diffuser, and we do have kits that have diffusers in them. There are 3 ways that you're going to use essential oils. One is aromatically, which means you're going to inhale it. And the easiest way to do that is to have a diffuser, which put water in and a few drops of oil, and you just let that vaporize into your house. If you are a person who likes to have a good smelling house, this has the very practical application of making your house smell awesome. If you're somebody who's used to buying candles and having them burning on the counter, diffusers are kind of the all-natural replacement of the Yankee candle. And honestly, they end up being a lot cheaper, and they don't put those toxins in the air of your home, those perfumes in the air of your home. On top of that, like for instance, I have been running in my diffuser almost nonstop our blend called On Guard, which is very, very antimicrobial and antibacterial, because it's the yucky season and I have 5 sons running in and out of my house all the time. So we diffuse this constantly, along with remember it's a lifestyle, taking elderberry syrup on a daily basis, having fire cider at the first sign of sniffles, where overall we're healing our bodies and allowing them to regenerate with plants and food. And so I keep this diffusing because what that's doing is it's making the air in my house clean and beneficial for us to breathe in. The other application, the next application would be topical, which is putting these directly on your skin, which we talked about diluting a little bit. This is the way that we use this the most. I do keep my diffuser running every day, but we put oils on our skin every single day for all reasons, down from rashes to tummy aches, like I mentioned, to pain. Like Jeremiah has a lot of pain in his body because he had some tumors in his leg, and so he is living with some things that are just a little bit out of alignment, and so he gets pain sometimes. For a long time, he was actually addicted to pain pills. He used pain pills, and he decided he didn't want to live like that anymore. In about 10 years, he cold turkeyed off of a lot of pain pills and decided he would rather live with pain than live with dependency on medication. And then essential oils came into his life, aka me. I came into his life with my essential oils because I was really, really about them. And I taught him about using things like peppermint and wintergreen and copaiba and helichrysum and our blends like Deep Blue and different things like that. I've taught him all about this, and he uses essential oils every single day on his leg, on his back, for circulation in his leg where he's had a lot of surgery and varicose veins. He uses oils on that, as well as on his back for different pains from just, he walks with a limp. And so he has, there's a little bit of alignment that's off because he's missing 35% of his left leg, and that's just a reality of his life. But pain doesn't have to be a reality of his life. And so we have a product called Deep Blue, which is a pain relief product. It comes in an oil and a roll-on, but we also have an incredible rub, and that's what he uses on a daily basis, and it's made a huge difference. So topical usage, we've got all these different oils for topical usage. And then the last one is ingestion. And actually, being that doTERRA's oils are pure, you can ingest them. But what we teach on our team, and some people are a little more willy-nilly about it, but what we teach on our team is that ingestion is more like that's more like serious medicine. So for daily use, unless you're dealing with something that really requires that, we say that's just not kindergarten oil usage. Like, don't ingest it. If it's not a pre-made product, we have supplements and all of that have oils in them, and those are okay to ingest on the front end, but I would just hold off. I actually came out of the gate using essential oils, ingesting them all wrong. I did and I'm still here, but like, so it's not like a matter of you're going to really, really hurt yourself, but that's something that I don't teach that right on the front end, because I like to teach that with a little more guidance. So like I said, I think the kits are a really great place to start unless you have specific needs. And if you have specific needs, I would be more than happy to sit and talk to you about those. We can chat about that. I can go through this book with you and build you a custom cart. You can purchase retail with doTERRA, and you're going to pay just like the retail prices. For instance, like with geranium, I know this one off the top of my head because I shot a video about it yesterday. It's $41 wholesale. It's $31. It's $41 retail. It's $31 wholesale. This is kind of like a mid-range oil. They start significantly less than that. And for some of the ones that are treating really serious issues and they're really serious medicines and more rare oils, their prices can go up. But you can purchase kits. They range anywhere from around $100 and up into the thousands if you'd like to purchase all the products that doTERRA has. But I would love to follow up with you if you have any questions on things that you would like. And also, I'm going to be sending an email out with the recording of this class with a link to our Facebook community group for you to go and add yourself if you'd like to join that group, where we're going to be providing a lot of education, as well as a link to the YouTube channel that I've created for my oils team. It doesn't have anything on it yet. I shot a few videos yesterday though, and I'm going to be putting those on, kind of highlighting different oils and different uses, because I'd really like to guide you guys in this to, I'd love to help you purchase oils, but I'd really, really love to teach you beyond that how to use them. So I see I have a couple of chat questions here. Ginger said, I heard that peppermint is good for hot flashes. Have you heard that? I've absolutely heard that. And Suzanne said it keeps spiders away. That's interesting. Yeah, I have heard that it's really good for hot flashes. Not just on the sense that it's very cooling. I actually keep a little spray bottle in the garden during the summer with a handful of drops of peppermint oil in it. And when I'm out there and just really hot, because it's 100 degrees outside, it's not a hormonal thing, it's just hot outside. And I spray that all over my neck and the back of my neck. And it just instantly brings me down several degrees because it's just very, very cooling. So it is good for hot flashes in a very literal cooling sense, but also I believe it's one that's said to be good for helping bring about hormonal balance. And we have a lot of products for hormonal balance. I've got one sitting right here called Intune, and that's one that is often suggested for using if you're having during your cycle, or when people are dealing with hot flashes and just dealing with the change and all that. What do you mix the oil with? You can purchase carrier oils. I like to use fractionated coconut oil because it's really light. We have carrier oils at doTERRA that you can buy, or you can literally just use the olive oil that you use to cook your dinner with. I use fractionated coconut oil because it doesn't solidify, or sometimes I'll just use regular coconut oil. If I'm gonna do a roller bottle, which I make those, diluting those myself, I'll use fractionated coconut oil so it doesn't solidify. Does anybody have any other questions that I can answer? I would love to answer them. I hope that this is okay. I get so nervous on this, guys. I usually do, I usually talk to a camera, or I get to edit myself. So teaching live is just such a nervous thing to me.
Jess, did you see my question about the roller bottles?
Okay, where do you purchase the roller bottles and the best carrier oil? So I said the carrier oil. The roller bottles, I get those. doTERRA has some for sale, and they're good. I buy them on Amazon. You can buy a 24 pack for something like $10 on Amazon for 10 milliliter glass roller bottles. And I like to find the ones when you're searching for them on Amazon. I like to get the ones with the metal ball instead of the plastic ball. They roll a lot smoother, and they just don't gum up over time. Ginger, that's such a great question, and it's the time of year. Definitely the On Guard blend, which that's going to be in most of the kits that's going to be in, but we also have an entire On Guard line of products, including cough drops and toothpastes and mouthwash and cleaners for your house, all of that stuff. And this time of year, I really, really implement that. I've got the hand sanitizer, but I've moved my kids over to the On Guard toothpaste and cleaners and stuff like that, because I really am wanting, thank you, Susan. I'm really wanting to make sure that I kind of head off any germs taking root at all. We have a blend called Breathe. I use the blends a lot. You'll notice me saying that. I use our blends a lot because they're just really, really good. Breathe is laurel, eucalyptus, peppermint, melaleuca, lemon, cardamom, and ravensara. Now, I don't know what age your kids are. Eucalyptus is for ages 2 and up. So this is one, my kids are all old enough that I use this on all of them now. And this is really good for breaking up congestion and dealing with that runny nose. Now, for the runny nose, Benjamin, my little one right now, has got such a chapped face because he's been a little bit runny nose, but he's rubbing it a whole lot. So I've just made a salve for him with just some lavender in it to soothe that, but also the lavender is really good for respiratory. Another one that's really good for respiratory in little kids is Cypress, I believe, is one that is super good. Anything that's woodsy like that, we have a lot of wood oils. Those are all going to be very grounding, and they're going to be really good for respiratory health. So someone asked about anything that supports thyroid. Now, I have talked to people, and I've not dealt personally with thyroid issues, but I have talked to people who have who have had incredible success with dysfunctional thyroid issues using our supplements. We have a supplement called Lifelong Vitality Blend, LLV, or Lifelong Vitality, yeah. LLV, and it's a kit that comes with 3 different bottles of supplements that you take every day, and they're blended with food medicine as well as different oils. And I've talked to people who have had like huge turnarounds in their level, that they've medically documented the journey of taking that LLV every day. We do take LLV. We started taking it a few months ago, and we've had I can tell a difference. We started taking it at the same time we started juicing every day. And so I wasn't 100% sure what it was. And then I ran out of LLV for about 2 weeks, and I realized how much of a difference it was making in my overall energy. But that's one thing that I know that I've said. If you have any questions like this too, I'm glad to answer them right now, but you can private message me about these and I can help you with that. Gloria, no, I don't believe we have any ashwagandha. I know some of our supplements have ashwagandha in them, but not in oil form. We don't sell it in an oil form. I was looking up stress. Was there any other questions that I could answer for anybody? I'm going to send an email out to everybody that has kind of like the recap of this, as well as links to these different things. However, I did want to go ahead and put a link up here if you wanted to go ahead and look at this. So, okay, I think that this will work. I'm sorry, I should have had this ready. So here is the link that this should take you through to my, oh, I'm sorry, I did not mean to send that privately. There we go. So that is the link that will take you through to my personal thing, but I want to invite you all to send me a message or respond to the email that I sent you with the link to this class. And I would be happy to build a cart for you and find out exactly what you need specifically, or help you find out what kit would work for you. Because like I said, it's such a huge thing in our life that's made such a massive difference. I believe in the quality of our life, and it has been such a gateway into empowering me to overall take control of the health and the toxicity of my home and how I'm raising my kids. And I genuinely believe that these products have empowered me in a massive way to do that. So like I said, I'll have links in that. And does everybody feel good about this? Does everybody feel like you got your questions answered? Are we good?
This was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I guess I will be in touch. And if you need anything at all, please feel free. Thank you guys so much. That makes me feel so good. Yeah, please, if you need anything, make sure you just send an email back there, and I'll be back in touch with you, and I'll send out all of those links. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your evening to hear me on this. It honors me tremendously. Thank you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.